Welcome to All Spiritual Life Center's Sunday service. One of the things that we do here is we are an interfaith organization, and we seek to tie the golden thread and weave to the tapestry of life and help bring us back together the way we were meant to be. And so this week we are going to be discussing we're going to be doing a different set of principles. We're going to do the Spiritist principles, not spiritualism, but Spiritist. And that's one of the ways that we like to do is we do one declaration of one faith for about 4 weeks. And then we like to find another one and do theirs. And then we can start seeing the similar declarations and principles that are interwoven into the different religions and the different faiths and spiritual traditions. And this begins to show us that, you know, the words may be a little bit different, but the essential truth and the meaning is one and the same. And we like tying, like we said, that tapestry and weaving it together. We like to help the sisters of the weird tie us back together the way we were meant to be in the first place. So we are going to get ourselves comfortable. Breathe. That sacred breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Let yourself be in the center of your being. Feel the chair, bed, or floor supporting underneath you. Follow the breath of life in through the nose. The coolness of that breath. Breathing out any stress the week has accumulated. Any worries, any thoughts that would have you sink. Let them go right here, right now. Surrender them. And allow yourself to just be. And we will begin our invocation. Mother, Father, God, Infinite Spirit, the light of all souls, of all life, in all worlds. That which is the unifying connection to us all. That oneness. That if we just center and remember, we all are. We call forth that presence to quicken and deepen within our minds and our bodies and our spirit. To remind us of that oneness, of that eternity, of the divine life that we all share. And we take this candle to remind us that there is but one flame, that we all are lit from. And this one light, and this one love, and this one candle is the universal principle that ties us all together. And for this we are grateful. For we know that there is a deeper truth to the meaning of our lives, and we are ready to receive it. And we say thank you, thank you, thank you. So mote it be. All right. Oh, good morning, Renee. I called you. I want to call you a little bit later if that's okay. I want to discuss our course. Renee, Quinn, and I are working on the for the ministry through All Spiritual Life Center, and she is a beautiful reverend that lives in Wisconsin. I met her on my pastoral skills class, and her and I are together. Well, she's doing most of the work. I just do the review. But her and I together are at the beginning stages of writing courses for any ministers that want to go through All Spiritual Life Center and become ministers of this truth and become part of the family of ministers at All Spiritual Life Center. So I'm grateful to see you. She says, okay. Are you awake yet, sweetie? All right. So today, like I said, we are going to the declarations or principles or however you would like to describe them is going to be coming from Spiritism this week. And as I said last week, I'm reading a book right now by Alan Kardec, and it is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's called The Spirit's Book, again by Alan Kardec. And the definition for Spiritism is a simplistic philosophy codified in the 19th century by a French educator, and it's in French, and I don't speak French, but his code name is Alan Kardec. It proposed the study of the nature, origin, and destiny of spirits and their relation with the corporal world. So, having read that and the little definition of Spiritism, right? Oops, I lost my page. There we are. No. Please give me 1 second. Where spiritualists or spiritualism, there it is. Okay, I apologize for that. I kind of lost my paperwork I got going on here. So, the principles of Spiritism. God is the supreme intelligence, first cause of all things. God is eternal, immutable, immaterial, unique, all-powerful, sovereignly just and good. A spirit is not abstract, undefined being, only to be conceived by our thoughts. It is real, circumscribed being, which in certain cases is actable by the senses of sight, hearing, and touch, meaning we all can sense spirit. All spirits are destined to attain perfection by passing through the different degrees of spiritual hierarchy. What is that word there, dear heart?
Amelioration.
This amelioration is affected by incarnation, which is imposed on some of them as an expectation and on others as a mission. Material life is a trial which they have to undergo many times until they have attained absolute perfection. And that's talking right there of reincarnation. And that's one of the differences that I can see between spiritualism and Spiritism. Spiritualism doesn't talk about reincarnation where so many of the other traditions do, but that's okay. A spirit's successive corporal existence are always progressive and never retrograde. But the rapidity of the progress depends on the efforts we make to arrive at this perfection. And the perfection that they're talking about is that anthropos, that being on which we once were, that was both masculine and both feminine, right? It was before the split into man and woman. And this perfection can be achieved once more. But it's not that we're not perfect now. We are. Where we are in our experience, we are perfect. But there is always a hierarchy on which we are striving to grow through. So, the soul possessed its own individuality before its incarnation. It preserves that individuality after its separation from the body. So that is in alignment with spiritualism, where they talk about that we believe in the individual personality exists after the change called death. The next one, on its re-entrance into the spirit world, the soul again finds there all of those whom it has known upon the earth, and all its former existences eventually come back to its memory, with this remembrance of all the good and all the evil which it has done in them. We all have a light half and a dark half, right? And there are thought forms and egregores and lower level spirits that like to impress us sometimes. And if we're not knowing who we are within, and we begin this excavation, so to speak, of retrieving the memory of who and what we are, then we get influenced by sometimes these negative forces without realizing it, and we allow ourselves to react to things. And some of these reactions is what they deem evil. Not necessarily we're all evil or we're all good. We can lean in one polarity or the other, but essentially we go within to find the true nature of our core, which begins to unleash more of what we seek to strive for. Okay? Did I explain that okay? Okay. Spirits exert an insistent action upon the moral world and even upon the physical world. They act both matter and upon thought and constitute one of the powers of nature, the efficient cause of many classes of phenomenon hitherto unexplained or misinterpreted. Spirits are insistently in relation with men. The good spirits try to lead us into the right road, sustain us under the trials of life, and aid us to bear them with courage and resignation. The bad ones tempt us into evil. It is a pleasure for them to see us fall and to make us like themselves. Now, yes, there is a darker half of the spiritual world, just like there is a darker half into the world of men. That does not mean that they are condemned forever into this darkness. This is something that they have chosen, or they have been destined to be used as teachers. Because if we did not have the darkness to reflect, or not reflect, but what's the word I want to use there? To give us definition between. If we didn't have the darkness, the darkness is a great teacher sometimes. If we didn't have the darkness, or we weren't impressed to do something against our core belief, then we wouldn't choose rightly. So the darkness is used as a teaching tool to help guide us into that state of perfection that it was talking about. Okay. The moral teaching of the higher spirits may be summed up like that of Christ. Now remember, Christ means anointed. Okay, it's not a man, it is anointed. In the gospel maximum, do unto others as you would that they should do unto you. That is to say, do good to all and wrong no one. This principle of action furnishes mankind with the rule of conduct and universal application from the smallest matters to the great. So, basically kind of what they're saying there is the smallest matters to the great, meaning a white lie is still a lie. Holding back the truth in fear of consequences is still not being truthful. And do unto others as you would have them do unto you. As we have seen in the past, this is in so many different, and I love it when it just continues popping up in all these different traditions and all these different faiths. I love seeing this because that is a universal. What you do, what you think, how you act towards someone else is going to be revisited upon you. So if the life and if your happiness and your unhappiness, if you're happy, then you must know that you have created good karma for yourself and the world around you. If you're unhappy, then you're reacting to old karma and you're not taking the time to seek within inside thyself, to know thyself, and to uncover those false beliefs and begin letting go and understanding the shadow that prompts you into doing that, recognizing it where it comes from, how you've embodied it, and how to surrender it so that you can create happiness. Remember, happiness or unhappiness is obeying or disobeying natural and spiritual laws. So I find these principles enlightening, and we will again be reading these next week. Hopefully I won't stutter over them as much as I did. But I do think there is so much there, and I've enjoyed reading this book. I highly recommend this book. It's an amazing book. Remember, The Spirits Book by Alan Kardec. All right. So much for those for right now. Now we're getting ready to go into our healing service, and this is where Reverend Micah steps up and does his magic. So I'll see you back in a few.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Such a great topic to learn about in the beginning, Spiritism and its principles, and seeing how similar it is to many others that we've actually heard before. But that's what we're all about. We're all about finding the common thread, right? Now, for healing today, since the topic today is about spiritual divorce, I won't get into particulars, but when we think about those words, we think of something that's split, obviously. And what's the best way to heal all of that? Why, bringing the pieces back together, right? So why don't we focus on that for our healing service today? We're going to bring pieces of ourselves back together that we feel have been split, so that way we can be whole again. So if you will, close your eyes. Take a nice big deep breath. And let it out. Take another deep breath. And let it out. One more big deep breath for me, deeper than the ones before it. And let go. Notice how you feel right now. Do you feel complete? Like there's nothing more you need to do? To grow? To learn? If you are feeling like there's part of you missing, this is a great truth I want to pass on to you today. That part has not gone anywhere outside of you. What you need for healing is already within you. I want you to focus on your body. What form and what pain do you feel is rising within it? Mental, emotional, physical, spiritual? It's all one and the same. Never meant to be separated. With you is the light to find all of these pieces. Rather than have to travel on plane, by car, or train, or on foot, all you need to do is dive within. And that's not so scary. It's actually very thrilling. Very peaceful. Now, as you locate the part of you that feels it needs the most healing, I want you to see the two halves, yin and yang, your light and your darkness. When these stand in unison together, wholeness is restored. See the pieces coming together. They fit perfectly. As they do, feel an infusion of love coming over any part of you that needs the healing, that relief from pain. Every breath you take in adds more love, more energy and light. And it reveals deeper truth to you on what caused this pain. And as we recite the prayer for spiritual healing, know that the first part is for you. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. In order to be healed, you must take action to heal and to accept the healing force. There is no pain too great that it cannot reconcile. And as it heals our pain, it also finds the connections that we have with those present and absent. And this unseen healing force, when you ask of it, can be directed towards those loved ones. It can whisper to them to receive the same healing. Healing is a two-step process. First, we must heal ourselves. Then we must help others to heal. And this second half of the prayer is for those people. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of infinite intelligence. Take 3 more deep breaths for me. Each time you breathe in, you infuse more healing in yourself. Each time you breathe out, you send that healing force of love to those people that came to your mind and your heart. Mother and Father, infinite Spirit, the one that is all and the all that is one, we are grateful for this healing force that moves through us, removing obstructions, helping us to heal pain and to resolve differences and the divorce that caused the spiritual pain for us. May the halves be reconciled into one, that each and every one of us may stand in truth, stand for love, stand for wisdom, and stand for wholeness. As we each allow and receive this great unseen healing force, we become whole individually, we become whole interdependently. As we express our uniqueness, we see the uniqueness in others. And it reminds us that we are all one. We are of one body, one mind, one heart, one spirit. May we see our bodies individually and collectively as temples to respect, to clean, and to restore when needed. Let the foundation that this temple rests on be ever strong, planted in the fertile soil of imagination, creativity, knowledge, and understanding. And together we say thank you. And together we say, so mote it be, and amen. Thank you all for that time. Now we come to the sermon, and we reintroduce Reverend Michelle Hale.
You're so theatrical, Mr. Micah. Turn that radio off, please. All right. That was amazing. I love the spiritual healing aspect of this service. So today, as he said, we are going to talk about spiritual divorce, what that means, and what we can do to rectify it. So Charles Bukowski had this little, what would you call it, phrase that he wrote that I came across the other day, and it struck me. I mean, it's not something you hear every day. It's not from a person that we are all familiar with. But this phrase really, I think that would be good to talk about. And here's what it is. It says, we are all going to die. Think about that for a second. Here at All Spiritual Life Center, we seek to weave us all together, right? There's one thing that each and every one of us has in common across the board, no matter how much money you have, no matter where you live, no matter what your name is, okay? We're all going to die. That is a fact, physically, okay? Not the spiritual body, but the physical material body. We have so many scientists and politicians and rich people seeking to maintain the physicality, right? Or transferring their consciousness into artificial intelligence, okay? Because they know, just like the rest of us, something we don't think about all the time, but we are all going to die. That is a common ground that we have. And then it goes on to say, we're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We're terrorized and flattened by trivialities, and we are eaten up by nothing. That's pretty somber, but look around. Isn't that what we're displaying towards each other? We get so caught up in our material life, in our mundane life. We get so caught up in our own minds that we don't get out of our own heads to look around and going, wait a minute, I'm not the only one who experiences this, okay? We don't stop and think about what life means, and we don't stop and think about the fact that each and every one of us is going to die. And as it said, this should unite us. We should support each other, knowing you're going to die and so am I. So let's help each other to live a happy, fulfilling life. But we get caught up in our own egos. And the word ego, easing God out. Ego, easing God out. When I get into this, I have to do it all. It's happening to me. What am I going to do? And feel like I have to do all of this myself, then I'm pushing out and separating myself from the community that I live in. I'm getting locked in my own head, and I'm not open to receive assistance because I have to do all of this myself for whatever reason, either to prove it or to think no one will help me or I'm not good enough or fill in the blank. And we all have experiences. Every one of us has experiences. And Spirit, the one thing Spirit has been telling me for over the past 25 years is we are in the time of a grand awakening. A grand awakening. And that means that we don't necessarily have the time that we may think we have. Okay? So just like our lifespan nowadays has been shortened and continually seems to shorten from 120 years, as once stated, to 80, 90 years, if you're lucky enough to eat healthy and have good food, which so many of us can't afford that because they jack the prices up, but that's another topic for another session. We're all going to die. And we all wonder, what is the meaning of our life? At some point, whether it be fleeting or something we contemplate, at some point we all just go, why the hell am I here? It's so hard. And one of the reasons it's so hard is because we've been programmed in our societies of such separation. And that's where we get into spiritual divorce. And this is what Spirit downloaded to me several months ago. And I just happened to come across it and I was like, that goes perfect hand in hand with what we're discussing today. Spiritual divorce is when we shut the light out of our lives. Many of us have felt anger that we feel towards that which is the infinite intelligence and God. A lot of us have asked the questions, why, if there was a God, would there let this blank happen? Okay, fill it in. Why would, the world be in the chaos state it is? Why would people do this to each other? Why? Okay. It stems from shutting the door on that which we call God, the light, the universal principle. But here's the thing. When you shut the door, you shut the door on yourself. And then the ego takes up the mantle. And it continues easing God out. Spiritual divorce is where we are right now as a society, as a collective. We divorce ourselves from the universal principle of the breath of life that is given to each and every one of us. We think, I have to do this. Okay. We divorce ourselves when we start looking at the differences of everyone, instead of allowing and understanding that everybody is at a different scale in the progression of the soul. Okay? Not all men are created equal in the essence of where they are on the journey, where they are on the rungs of the ladder. There are some souls that have it more difficult for the karma they created in a past life. There are some souls who have spent lifetimes in search of that which we call God, and they devote their mentalism in their spiritual life as well as their physical life in the progress of this attainment. And it's all there for us. There are some of us who are here to learn the lessons of being a family man or a family woman. we have the different hierarchies, and it doesn't mean one's above the other as far as better than or less than. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is seeing the universal life that has each and every one of us here. Seeing the universal end to the physical body that is in store for each and every one of us here. That in itself, if we can look out from our lives and see the man sitting across from us, whether he has different political views or different spiritual views, get into conversation to find the common ground in each other instead of arguing the difference of who's right and who's wrong and who's where and what's this. Then we start more of the sacred marriage instead of being so quick to trivialize our lives and throw it to the wind of divorce. Spiritual divorce is when we shut the light of ourselves out and that we don't see that our physical life, as well as our internal life, is our spiritual life. There's no separation between the material and the spiritual. It's only in our minds do we separate it. And that's where, again, easing God out shows up. Well, I go on Sunday and I'll sit at church and this is my spiritual life. But then as soon as they walk out the doors, or we walk out the doors, we don't take what we've learned in that spiritual environment and bring it into our material environment. There is no separation. But we live in a world where it's easy to cast out what we find different. It's easy to divorce a spouse. It's easy to get wrapped up in self and not seek guidance because that's a form of weakness in some people, or I don't believe in God. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe it in the traditional sense of the word. Even atheists know that there's a universal principle, a law that governs all life and all natural law. So it doesn't matter, because remember, that which is infinite intelligence is impersonal. It doesn't matter what you call it or how you see the law. But when you look out into the world, everything and everyone is going to die. And that universal principle is what has given us life. We are not happenstance. We are not something that just happened. We were created for purpose, for meaning. And whether the person across from you knows this about themselves or not, it's not for us to sit there and define the difference. It's for us to accept where they are on their journey and where we are in ours. It's to remember that every breath of life is sacred, because that breath can be extinguished at any moment. We don't have a lot of tomorrows left to get it right. Our world is demonstrating to us the history that's no longer working. Our weather, our politics, our worldviews. And in this time of a grand awakening, there is a window on which we have the opportunity to change oneself into the vision of the Creator. There is a window of opportunity, and we are in that window at this moment. We can no longer divorce ourselves from each other, nor can we divorce ourselves from our own spirit. This window of opportunity opened up in 2012. And this window of opportunity, as soon as the Aquarian age has solidified itself into its dominance, into its position, will close. We are on the cusp right now of human evolution. But that means we must take action. And how we take action is we remind ourselves that our spiritual life and our material life are one and the same. It is life. It is the unifying principle of all that we see. We cannot no longer divorce ourselves from this truth. And that means we must come at a point where we see our neighbor and our friend, or what we have deemed an enemy, as being in the breath of life. Not all people, as we discussed, are in the same stage of development. But once this window of opportunity closes, there's going to be a new world. And those who have chosen to continue to shut the light out will be placed in one earth to continue their growth in their conscious level. And those who have worked to enlighten themselves and create the sacred marriage of humanity, of the world, and of spirit will ascend to a new world. And it's all the sacred doctrines. I'm not making this up. I'm not some fanciful, claiming to be some guru. Nope, not here. But in all of the research and all of the doctrines and all the traditions, this prophecy is the same, used in different terminology, but the underlying principle is there. We can't keep putting off the holiness and the sacredness that this life is. And we're at a time that the divorcing must cease. Where we've started this divorcing is within ourselves. We shut that still small voice out, and we put in its place the I. I have to do this. I can't do that. It's all on me. If we can just remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience in those moments, then we can remember to breathe and center and ask for help. The ego doesn't like to ask for help. It likes to remain in control. And this is the action that's necessary to begin bringing the truth from who you are into your everyday life by asking for assistance and guidance from that higher self, that soul that is directly connected to the divine. Let's stop divorcing ourselves from each other. Let's stop divorcing ourselves from the world and the planet. One of the ways that we have been guided into divorcing ourselves from the darker forces, from the planet, is the seasons and the calendar. We have a calendar that has man's dates upon it. And then we have a seasonal calendar that tells us where we are in our seasonal year. And when we align ourselves with the seasons and begin to understand the energies that they offer, then we start aligning ourselves with the natural law of the planet on which we have our being and our experience. We must stop divorcing ourselves from the light of the consciousness that we call Christ. Christ is not a man. It is a consciousness. It is a consciousness that we all are afforded to attain when we choose to. And at this point in time that we live in, and in this window, this is the time to choose that consciousness. This is that time to anoint ourselves in this consciousness. Because we're all going to die. And we can do one or two things. We can go into the physical transformation or transition into the other world with fear, indifference, and separation, and get put back on the negative wheel of karma. Or we can do all that we can in this experience, in this time, in this body, to better the spiritual nature of ourselves and to live more from the spiritual essence of who we are, the quintessence of who we are, as we say in alchemy. And allow that to be that dominating light, that balance, that harmony. Understanding your darkness and not being afraid to dive into it, to discover the wisdom that it offers and bring it into the light for the greater good, for the great work. We take action in uncovering our hidden beliefs and recognizing how they have formed our view of the world. And as we continue uncovering these untruths that we have picked up or decided to carry or chose to believe wholeheartedly in, which limited our vision of the world, when we decide to allow ourselves to surrender these beliefs and ask for truth and to see clearly, then we start opening the window of acceptance, of encompassing, of union, of awakening. And we can do this now. The energies that are on the planet now have never been like this before. Humanity has never been alive to experience the grand awakening as such as we will experience. And we can choose how we experience the physical death, the transition. We can look at it in fear, and it's something we're all going to do. Or we can look at it with excitement and open arms and know that all we're doing is laying down a false belief that we call our bodies. And yes, it's real while we're in it, but it's not who we are. And so many of us believe we are the body. But this body is going to die. The spirit within it, you have the choice while you're in the body to grow it, to evolve it, to find the similarities in each other, so that when you lay down the body, you have your eyes open, your heart wide, and your soul expanded to embrace eternity and true immortality. These are our choices. This is what's set before us. We don't have a lot of tomorrows left. Humanity as a whole is a son of God. Son, the word son, not S-U-N, S-O-N, means in the likeness of. Let us stop divorcing ourselves from the spark, the flame that begs to be brightened within us. And let's stop divorcing ourselves with trivialities, with differences. if nothing else binds us, the fact we are all going to die should unite us. We should support each other, hold each other, help each other have a glorious, fulfilling life, regardless of where on the rungs of the ladder one may stand. Because we can all help each other up Jacob's ladder. And we can greet that which we call death with gratitude, excitement, and joy, because it is not to be feared. It is our ego that fears it, not our spirit. Let's get more in alignment with our spirit. Let's let the ego fall back where it needs to be, and that's in servitude. It is not meant to be the master. It is meant to be the servant, to help the body unit, not to control the body unit. Put your spirit back in control. Bring your spiritual practices into your everyday life. Contemplate these higher truths and ask, how can I use this in my everyday life to benefit the greater good? Because it's not just about me, it's about we. I love you. I hope you have an amazing Sunday and an amazing week. And I hope that these truths resonate with you, to stimulate you into discovering the higher self and truth of who you are and what you're capable of. You are a powerful being, destined for eternity. Allow yourself to see the internal breath of life into all things, and not the differences. Capitalize on the uniqueness and find the common ground in which we can express that one you that the Creator created. We all have our uniqueness. We all have our special gifts to bring. But we can no longer allow them to be latent within us. We need to express them. We bring the pieces together, and the world will rejoice. Have a blessed week. Much love. And now we're going to return you to Reverend Micah for some of the announcements and our benediction. Bye-bye.
All right. Hello again, everyone. Good topic. Let's say we choose spiritual marriage over spiritual divorce, right? It's a lot cleaner that way. Now, as far as announcements go, obviously, in less than 2 weeks' time, we will be having our next All Spiritualist Message Night. It's going to be hosted at the Centers for Spiritual Living in Kettering, Ohio. We start at 6 p.m. sharp, and we go until 9 p.m. There is a requested $10 love offering at the door. No one will be turned away. I want to emphasize that point. We do accept the offerings and the donations because it's helping us keep all of this running and being here for you all to see. So all help is appreciated. Thank you. Now, from 6 o'clock to 7, there will be some Reiki healings from myself and Reverend James Cito. And we will be having some chairs. You know, you can sit, get comfortable, get your tune-up before we get started with the ceremonies themselves. In October 12th, I believe, correct? We will be having readings in the park. We will be having it at Sugar Creek Metro Park in Bellbrook, Ohio, actually. We'll have the event posted on Facebook soon with the address and everything that we've got going on. We're going to have 5 different mediums there. We're going to have a booth for, information about our church. And we're going to be displaying exactly what we're there to do, what we're here to do for everybody here. And you can have some personal one-on-one time with the mediums, rather than like on All Spiritualist Message Night where we're standing in front of everybody and we give, messages along to the crowd. You get personal time with one of our mediums, or all of them if you choose to. So there's many benefits to be had from that. 20 for one reading and 50 for the entire panel reading. So trust me, that's definitely the better deal there. And there will be an apple bob for sure, and there will be Reiki healings under the tree with Reverend James Cito and some of our members as well. Yes.
Drummer. We're gonna have drumming.
We'll have drumming, a drumming circle, nice full music and playing area. There's even a kids play area if you'd like to bring your kids with you.
We're gonna have a costume contest for the kids.
And a costume contest in the spirit of Halloween for the kids. Come together, get creative, bring all the little critters so that we can see exactly what they want to come as.
We'll have snacks and drinks there available at a very, very low cost.
Yes, we will have drinks and snacks available for a very reasonable cost. Not great. That's it. Okay. Yeah, for now. Okay, the next, last order of business is that we will have the YouTube channel link posted on the homepage of All Spiritual Life Center. All of our services, except for this video, which will be uploaded later tonight, are on the YouTube channel. So you can see all the replays with, some of the time trimmed down so we can just get right to the good stuff. So tell your friends if they don't have a Facebook page, hey, you can find them on YouTube. They've got everything uploaded there. So come and visit. We need some people to help spike up the replays for us. So please do your part. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is that we were going to bring up in last service before our video feed got cut that we are actually asking the audience and asking our members if they have any specific topics that they'd like to hear on a Sunday service. Because we didn't build this church for us. We built it for all of you. We built it for all of you to come and see what connects us all and what brings us together, no matter what faith or walk of life you come from. But if there is a topic that's near and dear to your heart that you'd like to hear, us give our 2 cents on and see what we can find in connection with, please leave a comment on this video. Leave a post on our front page. Anything. Please put it on there. And because we want to make sure that we're covering the discussions that you guys would like to hear. So leave a comment here, leave a post on our homepage, wherever. We will find it and we will incorporate it. And I believe that's it for announcements, unless you have anything, Reverend Michelle.
Nope, I have had all the announcements I have.
All right, so we come to our benediction. Mother, Father, infinite great Spirit, thank you for this wonderful message that we received today. Thank you for showing us that we have, as a society, become divorced from each other because we're so busy pointing out our differences that we can't see our commonalities. Let us now see throughout this week and throughout the rest of our time here that it doesn't need to end in divorce just because there may be differences that we see. We can remember our commonalities. We can remember what actually brings us together. And let us rest in hope on what brings us together rather than what will split us apart. Because in division, we only divide and divorce from ourselves. When we bring ourselves more in cohesion together, we have a ripple effect that does that for the rest of the world. Let us reconcile and remarry within us so that the one true being that lives within us can live fully, completely, and wholly. And with this, we say thank you. Blessed be, so mote it be, and amen. Thank you all for joining us here today, and I hope you have a very wonderful week ahead of you and a wonderful day today.
See you on the 20th.
See you on the 20th.
And see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.